You are listening to the Doc Malik podcast. This show is 100% independent and fully funded by listeners like yourself. So, if you wish to support Ahmed in all that he is doing, then please subscribe to his channel on Spotify or his Substack. Or simply buy him a coffee with a one-off donation, links to which can be found at docmalik.com. Now, let's get on with the show.
Hello, everybody. Before we launch into this podcast with Kemi, I just thought I'd mention a few things. I've been a bit quiet in the last few months. Some of you may or may not know. If you've been reading my Substack, you'll have been abreast of the situation. But I've had a pretty miserable 4 months so far this year. But I finally turned a corner, and as you can see, I'm full of beans again. So I had 2 disc prolapses in my neck. And thankfully, I've healed from that, and I'm now recovered and recharged and good to go. And to be honest, I've learned so much more about health and healing in the last 4 months. I think everything I go through is a lesson, and there's so much to learn yet. So because of my slight incapacity, I haven't done as much as I would have liked in the last few months. At the turn of the year, at the beginning of the year, I said I was going to write a book. I was going to launch my consultation service. I was going to do some retreats. I was going to, just offer some courses, online courses. Everything was on the back burner. However, now I'm back. I'm back. So first of all, I would like to say that I will be launching my consultation service. And you can find the links on my website at docmalik.com. You'll see consultations and you can book online. So who's a consultation for? I mean, if you just want to chat to me, you can book a consultation. But realistically, if you've been to a doctor and you've had literally just a few minutes in the consultation room and it's all quick, rushed, and you walk out, and you're just spun around and you're just dazed, don't really understand what's just happened. You're not sure what your diagnosis is. You've got a million unanswered questions. Well, definitely book a consultation with me. I can break down what the diagnosis means, what your options are, and whether, there could be potentially other diagnoses and what questions to ask. Equally, if you've had something go wrong in your life and you're not sure who to see, there's so many different specialities out there, so many people that you could potentially see, and you don't know where to start, you don't know what questions to ask, book a consultation with me. I can help guide you. And finally, if you've seen someone and had tests and investigations, you don't know how to interpret them, again, you've got a million gazillion unanswered questions, and you just want some guidance. You want someone to hold your hand, someone who educate you, inform you, and empower you. I'm your man. Book a consultation with me. So, if second opinions, if you're feeling confused, uncertain, and you want some guidance, someone who's not biased in any way, someone who's got no conflicts of interest, someone who isn't going to try and sell you a pill or operate on you or try and make a quick buck out of you, I am offering this consultation service. So I'm not a registered licensed doctor anymore, but I have 25 years plus worth of mainstream medical knowledge, but I also have significant knowledge of alternative healthcare practices and other ways of allowing your body to heal. Finally, if you just want some coaching and guidance, you don't know where to start when it comes to intermittent fasting, or you want to know how to turn your life around, or you want to know about the dangers of blue light and how to get optimal light therapy or sleep, regulation, diet, anything, I can help you guys. So that's a consultation service. And yes, folks, I still have a handful of slots left with my retreat. I'm really excited. The people who have signed up are just beautiful souls. I've got amazing practitioners and sessions booked for the whole weekend. It's just going to be an amazing time. So, if you're thinking about it, just go ahead and book it. Again, details on the website. And I guarantee you will not regret it. It's going to be amazing. And I think that's it for now. I think that's everything. I will be offering some courses in the future, and I'm working hard on my book. Birthday bash. Yes. Final thing. It's my 50th birthday party this summer. I want to hold an event where, some of my listeners can attend and we can all get together. This is a non-profit enterprise, just making it very clear. All the money is going to pay for the food and the venue, and that's it. There's no profit being made. So why am I doing it? It's really simple. I want to be surrounded by you lovely people. It literally is that. I want to meet all of you. I want you to meet all of you. And I just want to have a nice time. After the few years that we've been through, it's been pretty shit. It'd be really cool to meet you all. So look out for that as well. It's going to be coming out again in the next few days. Priority will go to paid subscribers first. There has to be some perks from my paid subscribers who've been supporting me these last few years. So it's going to go out to them first for the first week, and then tickets will be available to everyone else after that week. Okay, I think I'm done now. Sorry for that. That was quite long. I apologize. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed this podcast with Kemi. There is a little bit of swearing involved. If you don't want to hear the swearing, don't listen to the podcast. But Kemi is a beautiful soul, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. Okay, folks, it's great to be back. I love you all. Bye-bye. Now we're live. Yeah, we do match. Matchmaker.
Yeah, we're matching. We're matching.
Why do we match, though?
Because I believe we're not fearful. We have the courage to say what we see. And right now, whilst most people are lying, and you find out that almost everyone, including your head teacher, your grandmother, has probably lied.
Yeah.
I think people are finding it really refreshing to hear the truth. And at the same time, they're trying to kill the truth tellers. It's kind of a love-hate situation, isn't it?
You know what I find really funny is how even good people who are so-called awake are not telling the full truth. So I've just been organizing my summer retreat, and you would think people who do meditation, guided meditation, who do breath work, who do sauna rituals, who do sound baths and yoga, and that wellness, holistic health stuff, are all awake and on our side. Oh my God, no.
Mate.
Oh my God. This has been an eye-opener for me. I'm like, oh my God, like you guys are all jabbed up.
Yeah.
You're all following the bullshit narrative. Yeah, I thought you guys were on my side. And so a few of them, like it was quite difficult to organize this retreat. But now, I'll come to who I've got in a second, but I had so many people say to me, oh, you know what? I don't want to be aligned with you because of I think it's not inclusive. And I'm like, are you using DEI terminology with me? What the frack? And then it was like, some of them were like, oh, I'm totally on board with what you're saying, but I don't want to be associated with you because it might hurt my brand. And I'm like, what the frack?
This is what we're hearing now.
So now the people I've got, and then someone said, oh, I'll work with you, but please don't advertise it that I'm with, I'm on your retreat. So I'm now quite militant, the opposite way. I'm like, no, you don't get it. This is a safe space for my tribe. This is where people who are alone and hardly know anyone who's awake and are called the crazy person, they can go to this place and feel like the love of their tribe and not be scared to speak up. And instead of being the weirdo, now they're the fun of the party. Everybody laughs at them. They love their jokes. And I don't want the people who I'm getting on board to be anything less than that. They also need to be fully on board.
You've got to fully show up as you are. And we need to bin the idea of being perfect. We don't all fit. I realize now one of my strong points is the fact that I don't try to fit. And because I don't try to fit, I can bring my authentic self. And my authentic self fills the Kemi-shaped hole in this universe.
I love it.
And I don't want, there's nobody that can be me. Equally so, I can't be anyone else. So you don't see me trying to wear the trendy clothes or trendy hairstyles or do my makeup a certain way. I'm just showing up as me. And I actually feel that's what that's what the universe wants. So, and that's what pushes me to get up every day and say yes to things. It also helps me to say no to stuff. because I'm not going to try and agree to something or fit in with the crowd or whatever. I just need to show up as me. That's all I need to do. Go to sleep, have a good sleep. You know, if it's wine o'clock at 9 o'clock, you know, in the morning, that's me. That's how I'm showing up.
That is what it's all about.
Mm.
You know what? I wasn't always like this. It took me a while to be comfortable in my own skin. I didn't like who I was. I really didn't. Now I love who I am.
I was going to say, though, when you said you didn't like who you were, you mean you didn't like who you were showing up as? Because the real deep you
Yeah.
that you now bringing forward, you can see all the juice of it all and the fun of it all, you know, the energy of it all. So I think when we don't like ourselves, it's because we're trying to be somebody else.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. Or, I don't know, like, I just feel like I've been through stuff and I just felt insecure. I had a lot of layers of grime. Do you know what I mean? I think you're right. What you're trying to say is your true self is that diamond.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, we just put layers of grime on top. And then to make ourselves feel better, we put a pair of fancy shades on or lipstick or makeup. But it's just grime.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and putting some fancy clothes on it and putting it in a fancy car. It's still grime. What you really need to do is strip away all the grime and just find that true diamond that we all are.
Yeah, but I think we are on the same page. I don't think we put it on ourselves. I think it's put on us.
Yeah, that were both, maybe.
Yeah. And then we reach a point where we realise that we're being obscured. So we'll say, right, and then we start to shed the layers. And it might be relationships or a certain type of job or a certain way of living or habits. And then we are squirreling down to the diamond. But I don't think we do this to ourselves. I think it is done.
Partly, I think. Like, I mean, you just need to watch advertising. You know, what is advertising? Advertising is you're ugly, you're not good enough, you're not worth it until you buy this product.
Yeah. That's right.
That is it.
It's genius, though. It gets stuff sold.
It is.
It's genius. It's just for us to get out from under that kind of consumerism. And if I was a bit slimmer or if I had a bit more weight on or if my tummy was a bit more toned. And, you know, there's this, especially for women, there's this competition to win the affection of the patriarchy. And I'm not just talking about men. Just talking about this system where we're expected to look a certain way, be a certain way, and we kind of nudge each other down that road. So it doesn't necessarily, you know, when you're saying, it may not be always done to us. I agree. We kind of do it to each other and also do it to ourselves. And I'm so fucking done with playing roles. And I think as well, because I'm in my fuck it 50s, just about going into my, I don't know what my 60s are going to be like, but...
Wow, you look great. Great
thank
skin.
You. Doesn't crack, okay? Doesn't. No, I just feel like this has been so liberating. It's like society was saying, you don't want to go into your menopause and stop producing all that juicy estrogen because, you know, men find it attractive, etc. But I didn't know about the gold on the other side where I'm in my fuck it 50s. I don't give a fuck.
Is that the gold on the other side?
Oh, man. It's just so juicy on the other side of the menopause. And everyone tries to give this impression that we're all just dry, shriveled up, got problems with our vulvas, go off sex. Fuck no. It's great over here.
Go, sister, go.
And what people don't realise as well is the testosterone for the balance, because estrogen is out the door, more or less. The testosterone balance increases. So we're able to say now, no, touch there. No, don't touch there. No, I'm not enjoying that. Like, I want my wine and my cat tonight. You know, we're able to say that because of the balance of testosterone that kind of goes up for us.
What do you think of HRT?
I don't touch it because it's anything that's a pharmaceutical. I might use it to save my life, but I know there's always a negative payoff.
Yeah.
To pharma. So I won't choose it. So when I was getting the hot flushes and not mood swings as such. I was quite even actually, but when my energy was in my boots, etc., I thought, do you know what? Let's just firm it. Let's just make some lifestyle changes to match it. It will end. You're going to be, so what if you're using a fan for 10 minutes and then, you're cuddled up in a blanket for the next 10 minutes. Because I was teaching a lot at that time, I was attending birth. At birth, you can just throw in a blanket, no one cares because you're not the main act. But when you're teaching, everyone's focused on you. So whenever I was teaching, midwives, doulas, etc., I would say, I'm going through my menopause. I don't know what's on the other side. I have a feeling it's going to be brilliant. But whilst I'm doing that, I'm going to be putting a blanket on for 10 minutes. And then you're going to see me throw the blanket off and use a fan for about 10 minutes, right? So try not to be distracted by that. What I'm sharing is gold. And you just get it out of the way at the beginning. If I had something to prove, like, I'm just perky full of estrogen, I'm not having that nasty drying menopause. If I was trying to be somebody else, then that whole couple of years would have been hell. But I'm not trying to be somebody else. I have gold to give you. I'm a childbirth expert. However, you're going to see me switch between sweating and freezing. So what? Just grow up.
I love it. So I had a great guest, and I love her and respect her very much. But there was one thing she said that I didn't agree with, which was menopause is a flaw in human biology, and it's because women weren't expected to live that long or whatever, reach after
reproduction. That theory.
And I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that at all. I believe that everything is designed in a beautiful way, harmonious way. And you go through the menopause and you change, but you don't, it's not like I think humans are meant to live till 120, 130.
Yeah, me too.
And I think your role changes.
It has.
And that's all it is. And you embrace it. And then to say you need to take these hormones because you're flawed and faulty is wrong. And the same goes with guys. Like there's guys that are taking testosterone replacement therapy. And I'm like, I don't want to take that. People are taking growth hormone. I'm like, I don't want to take that. Right. I want to take the sun.
Yeah.
I want to take good food.
Yeah.
I want to take a steak.
Yeah.
And sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. And sleep. And it's so funny because if you believe that we're not supposed to be around at this point, like I believe I'm enhanced. Going from maiden to mother, mothering, I've always given my best. I'm totally in love with my children, but there was always something to learn, etc., and something I wasn't really accepting about myself. I wasn't quite the best mother. But now that I'm menopausal, then postmenopausal, I'm gold for my grandchildren.
Love it.
I'm gold. I go to bed at the same time as them. I can just tuck up with them and snooze. I've got nothing to prove. I don't need to be out clubbing. I'm up, at dawn with them. I just feel like I'm perfectly made as grandmother now. I'm supposed to be here. And I didn't have present grandparents, and neither did my children.
Me too. And I really missed out on that.
I'm telling you, even now, I realise the gap that was there because of my missing. And because I'm now filling that for my grandchildren, just see their cockiness, their attachment is so rooted. Like they know their grandmother. I can play with her hair. I can sit in her lap. I can be up at 5 something because my granny will be in the kitchen with me. It's
beautiful.
It's just, this is my role. I'm supposed to be here.
Can I tell you the flip side that not only is it beneficial for them, but talking to Michael Neal's, but indoctrinated brain and Alzheimer's and whatnot, do you know it's neuroprotective for you to be surrounded and loved by your grandchildren?
I believe it.
It is healing for you. It stops you from going demented and ending up in a nursing home. We're designed to be living together, looking after each other. I mean, I'm not necessarily all in the one house, but close.
Yeah.
In each other's lives, basically.
Yeah. I know that I'm getting younger. I never wanted to get younger, but my energy is full. My health is full. My laughter is full. and being around them. So when I'm with them, I live 5 minutes away, literally
Perfect.
5 minutes away from them. So as they get older, they'll be making their own way to their grandmother's house. And I can see that my health is improving the more they're around. So my eldest grandson is 4, and I'm trying not to let him be my world, but it's hard.
I know.
He completes me. So, and then he's got his little siblings coming along, and they all just fit on my lap,
Yeah.
And so I do feel complete. I have to say that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And it's so funny because like those are my kids, my 3 kids, and they're my world. And I have to keep reminding myself to balance, Ahmed. You can't put all of your happiness, all of your into them. God forbid. It's not good for you or them.
It's not good for them.
It's not good for them. Like, you need to live your life. You need to have your world, and you need to be there for them. But it's hard. It's so hard. And the thing is, like you, I missed out not having grandparents, and all my friends. It was just another reminder that I'm different from all the white kids. Because I'm the one brown guy who's got no grandparents. Right? All the other kids have got their grandparents, spending time with grandparents, getting birthday presents from grandparents, getting Christmas presents from grandparents, going on holiday with grandparents. And I was just like, I really missed out on that.
Yeah, we did. But I believe you will be, just like you're present for your children, because we're so aware of what we missed. It's as soon as I knew that my first grandchild was on the way, I shifted the way I worked.
Love it.
It was so important to be present. They are being raised in another country. So guess what? I'm there 6 months of the year. And it's really good. This thing where you were saying about the balance. So when I'm here, because I love my work and my interests, etc., I'm all about that. And then as soon as I get on the plane, with suitcases loaded down with stuff for my grandchildren, then I'm in grandmother mode.
Love it.
And I still have other things that I do sometimes, but I'm mostly about them,
That's a really perfect balance.
It's beautiful.
I love it.
It's beautiful.
And I think, I also, as a parent, I'm very different from my parents. Like, I was just reflecting on the fact that my parents never once said sorry to me. Like, even never. And I think, I asked my kids, I was like, how many times have I said sorry to you? Oh, 1 million.
Yeah.
Like, I say sorry to them all the time.
Yeah.
And
it's so healthy. Gosh, if nothing else, if you hear nothing else, please apologize to your children, guys. Please. It lifts them. It heals them. It's making me emotional. Actually, you're one of the best parents. Just even you saying that. If I knew nothing else about you, thank you. Because you're healing your children.
I feel so bad. Like yesterday, it was hot, right? So I was like, hey guys, should we make a slush puppy at home? So we got some cordial, put it in the blender thing and ice it. And they're like, yeah. And my eldest daughter goes, I'm going to do it. I went, okay, great. So she brings the blender thing and she starts putting the ice in it. She puts the cordial, she fills up the water. And then she goes, right, I'm gonna put it in. I'm like, okay, I'll watch you. And then she connected it to the thing. And what I didn't realize is she hadn't actually tightened it. So now there was cordial water everywhere. Like, and when I mean everywhere on the kitchen counter. And like when you got a busy, messy kitchen counter like mine with vitamin bottles, salts, pepper shakers, and wiring and cabling, it was. And I kind of went, what have you done? And she was like, oh, sorry, Daddy. And then she stormed out of the garden. And I was like, oh, I shouldn't have spoken like that.
Because it can be cleared up.
Yeah.
But it's your initial reaction.
No. So I started clearing up and I went out. I said, I'm really sorry.
Good.
I'm sorry, baby. I didn't mean to shout like that. It happens. It's just, there's a lot of mess.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm sorry. It's because I'm not good enough. I went, you are good enough. You can do it. She was like, no, but I'm always clumsy. I went, everyone's clumsy and you're a kid. And I said, come on, let's finish it up. She went, no. I went, look, you started it. It's all right. I've cleaned up now. Finish. Just finish it. So she finished it and made the slush puppy. But that initial, I should have controlled myself. And I was like, sorry.
But you've also shown her something that you can not control yourself and then you can go and fix it. genuinely, authentically, because I think it's like my son talking to me about my relationships. If I wasn't honest and said, yeah, I had this missing in myself and thought I could get it from somebody else.
Yeah.
That is gold for him.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry you saw that. Oh, you saw me shouting, throwing stuff. Yeah. Lost control. But it's good because they say, oh yeah, like it's repairable.
Yeah, 100%.
And they understand why you had certain reactions. Like she will now understand, oh, Daddy flew off the handle because of the whole mess. You communicated with her. I was a bit overwhelmed by the mess. That's all learning.
Yeah.
That's why your apology is so important. And I was never apologized to, or nothing was ever explained.
Yes.
By my parents, who I realized they were so young, but nothing was ever explained. So I had to figure it all out myself. And that took me like 20 years of adulthood to figure out. Whilst if I'd been able to say, why did you choose that? What was the drinking about? If I was able to have those conversations, it would have been really helpful.
It's the power of the conversation.
Yeah. Communication. Big on it.
Yeah. See how powerful it is? Just literally articulating what's in your head and sharing it with your child. Because like my parents, I love them. They're really good people. I love my father. He's passed away now, but they didn't know.
No.
They just didn't know. And I'm not bitter or angry with them. They just didn't know. And part of it is thinking, right, what did I not like as a kid and how can I change it? And how, as a parent, can I do things better? I tell my kids every day, listen, I'm learning every day. There's no dad school I've been to. Like, I'm learning, guys.
There's no manual for them. And I, when I had my children, I was in my mid-20s. So I fully admit I grew up with them. And I think that adds to the relationship we've got now, because I'm not on a pedestal and we can just all have a laugh and we're all, people hate that term, we're all awake. So we're really enjoying the apocalypse, finding it quite hilarious.
I'm so glad you said that. I think it's like people say to me, like, don't you get overwhelmed? Like the topics you talk about and blah, blah. I just think, do you know what? Just be amused. Just enjoy the ride. Like, I don't know what your take is on religion or whatever, but, I think we've been created. I'm not an atheist. I can't say this is what God is. I don't know.
No.
No one knows.
Yeah.
I'm not a follower of any religion now. I just think they're all cults, and there's a lot of them. And the problem is when you're in a cult, you don't think that you're in a cult.
Fish don't see water.
They don't.
Yeah. And you see, again, my respect for the divine has grown.
Yeah, what do you mean by that? What is the divine to you? I keep
the
hearing
creator.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So
something has created us.
Come on. Yeah, you have to look up. Yeah. Come on, don't be silly. Like a man created this, don't be silly.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
random chance.
Random chance, really.
The Big Bang.
Come on.
Look
Look at your Misty. You can clearly see she's designed. Misty's his chicken.
Queen chicken.
Queen chicken. And you can see, look at her, she's very, very beautiful. She's been designed. This is not random.
She's got attitude too.
She had a lot to say.
She's got sass.
She's fully sass. She competes with me for sass. Okay. But you got to see that that's designed. When you look at, like, the first time I received a baby that wasn't mine as a midwife, and I saw the bones, the sternum, the eyelashes, the butthole, that's design. It's so perfection. The way we can heal ourselves, design.
Yeah.
If you go down the allopathy route, then you end up juggling symptoms. If you actually get to bed, hydrate, great quality food, balance out any supplements that you may
deficiencies,
any deficiencies. If you can do that, you find your ability to heal just 10x's. Things just happen quicker. If you only use on your skin what you'd put in your body, just 10x's the way you look, the way your skin responds to temperature changes and things like that. So so I was very scientific. Like, I need to be able to see it. I was really into my chemistry, biology, physics, applied maths. It was all very, oh, yes, I can see that. But the more I looked up, the more I opened my eyes. I was raised religious, but I quickly could see the holes.
Me too.
In that, holes, this huge chasms. Why would we all exist if like only a quarter of us make it into the promised land kind of thing? Doesn't make sense. So I don't believe in a religion holding the truth and all the others condemning their believers. Come on.
Yeah.
It's way more divine, complex and loving than that.
Oh, 100%. So in the Quran, when I read it, it's a very biblical God. I mean, it's the same. It's all the Abrahamic religions. But
absolutely.
It's a very loving God, but it's also a very... I'm talking about the Quran, so all the Christians out there, just hold your horses. And the Muslims out there, well, sorry, tough. But it just seems like quite a wrathful God. Like, if you don't worship me, then you're going to go to hell. And if you don't do this, you're going to go to hell and you're going to burn for eternity. And I'm just thinking, hold on, whoa. Right, hold on one sec. I've got kids, right? And I love them fracking unconditionally.
Yeah.
When they literally poo on me, wee on me and say, Daddy, shut up, Daddy, you're stupid or whatever, I just laugh and giggle because they're kids and they're joking and whatever. Like, it doesn't matter what they do. Like, I will always love them.
Yeah.
I just love them.
Yeah.
Right. And that's me as a mere mortal. Who am I? Right. And very, very important. I will never be a cult leader. I'm never a guru. At my last retreat, I said to everybody, and my next one, I said to people, listen, because sometimes they get quite excited. Go, oh my God, it's Dark Man. Like, oh my God, your skin's really great. I'm like, yeah, it's not some camera thing. I use beef tallow. Thank you very much.
Ah, the one.
And I had someone in the last retreat say, can I touch you? I was like,
stop
this. And by the end of the 3 days, it was just brilliant. We were all hugging and we were all just like normal friends. It was just brilliant. And actually, not even at the end of 3 days, within like an hour, people realized, just chillax. Mm-hmm. I'm just like you, right? So if me as a mere mortal can love my kids like this, you're telling me God, the creator, is going to be so petty and like us who mess up are so flawed. Every single time we trip up, you're going, oh, you're going to, this is sin. I'm going to punish you. But do you know what? I don't buy that.
No, it's very patriarchal. And, like the Old Testament of the Bible, talks about if you wear mixed fibers, you should be stoned in the center of the village and all the rest of it.
Does it?
Yeah. Petty.
I need to look this up. You're kidding me.
Petty. Right. So this is, look it up.
I'm going to look it up.
It's wearing mixed fibers. What's the other one? I mean, obviously they'll always go for the woman adulterer, not the man. Right. So it's all very patriarchal. And like you say, if us who are fallible parents can manifest unconditional love, I'm quite certain the creator of all that can have the grace and the mercy. It's like even me sometimes I think, God, if I was the creator, the way some people behave on the planet, I'd have squished the whole project by now. We'd just be dust.
Yeah.
Because I can't bear to see the suffering that we're causing each other.
Absolutely.
But the creator allows us to see another sunrise, have another day. That's the measure of the love and the grace and the mercy. And so I don't like you talk about the wrathful God in the Quran. We also have the wrathful God in the Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament. Actually, our brother Jesus just speaks about redemption and how we have greater power than we ever knew. But people, what did they do to him? They got rid of him, didn't they?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that I believe the fact that we're still here, 2,000 years after they put Jesus to death for his beautiful message, we're still here. We're still fucking up. But we still get to see another day. I personally feel that's the love of the divine.
Yeah. So I looked it up. So basically, it doesn't say stone them, but it does say don't wear mixed fabrics in the Old Testament, 100%. But there's no stoning.
There's no stoning.
Keep my decrees. Do not mate different kinds of animals. That's reason. Do not plant your field with two kinds of seed. Do not wear clothing woven of two kinds of materials.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So the stoning bit isn't there, because if you continue to read it, I'm quite certain if we break the decrees, there's a punishment.
All right. Okay.
Right. So there's a lot of punishment happening in the Old Testament.
Yeah. And, like in the Quran, like you said about the patriarchy, there definitely is patriarchy, Muslims and myself, we used to always convince ourselves, no, but we respect women. It's all about respect women. Do you know what? No. Why should a woman have to cover up? Because there's potentially bad guys out there.
But I heard that wasn't in the Quran.
It's not. So it just says dress modestly.
Yeah.
Dress modestly.
Yeah. It doesn't need to mean.
So this whole thing about hijab and this, I don't know. Like my mum even says, I don't understand this. She goes back to Pakistan every few years. She goes, I don't recognize the country anymore. She left when she was like 17, 18 in the 60s, 70s. And, I've seen pictures of her. Like she's like wearing hippie clothes and just a scarf around her neck. Not here, in Pakistan. She went, that's how we dressed. She went, and she goes, no, it's all hijab. And this is all a Middle Eastern Arab thing. We never dress like this. We just have a shawl or something. She goes, I don't understand what's happened. Everybody's become fundamentalist.
And it's the same in Africa as well.
Really?
Yeah. And, there was some of the tribes, especially Bantu below Sahara, where nothing is worn or, very little was worn. And to now see so many people in those environments, covered from head to toe, I understand. And I know that there are women as well that will say that I choose to dress like this. And of course it's their choice and it's none of my business. And I don't know the religion. But generally, I feel like you say, the Abrahamic religions, and there's other religions too that try and moderate the way we speak, what we eat, what we wear, etc. And there's an element of ostracism or punishment attached to breaking those rules.
100%. In my cult, so I was raised in a cult within Islam, a sect, very much like a cult. Like that was the fear that was hanging over you the whole time. That if you don't follow the decrees and the orders, the ultimate punishment? Banishment.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't sound like very much now when I say it, but when you're in the cult, the community, and all your friendships and everything, your social life is pivoted around the people in your church or mosque or whatever, and you get told, we're going to banish you.
It's huge.
It's massive.
It's a huge punishment and enduring. And you'll see people that are, they've rescued themselves or been rescued from cults. And it takes decades to adjust to not having that support system. But that support system is conditional. And again, I really don't believe that true love is conditional. So all the barriers, you see, this is this whole divine and rule thing that I think the patriarchy is responsible for, and it's genius. It works when we're all divided along different lines and beliefs. We can't come together in a meaningful way to protect ourselves and our descendants.
Everything's about divide and rule. That's the biggest tactic they use. Divide and rule. Listen, can we talk about babies for a second? One of the times we were chatting, I think it was maybe our first phone call, you got so happy when I told you that two of these monkeys were born in the house.
Yeah.
Why did you get so happy?
Because I don't think we should be leaving our houses to give birth unless we're dying. Or the baby, there's some kind of demise that could occur if we stay there. So when a child is born in the home, parents like you will usually make other sound choices, like keeping their cord attached. You don't medicalize the process.
No.
You wait. There's a lot of slowness, also beneficial for the mother. So if she's not being moved around straight away, if somebody's washing her down rather than her tottering to a shower and potentially fainting, and if, she's eating her own food, if she plants her bottom on her own toilet, there's so many protective elements of that. The baby going straight to her skin to skin rather than in one of those fish bowls that they have in the postnatal ward and the medical system, medicalized maternity system.
Because the thing as well is the whole gut flora, not gut flora, the whole biome around your home is different from a hospital. Hospital is very sterile. Just give me 1 sec. I'm going to pause. Just make sure it's recording again. Yeah, there's some work being done in the garden, so I was just worried about the background noise. So basically, yeah, what I mean by that is like, my wife and my kids, we all share the same kind of bacteria. And I know that because when I started my starter for my sourdough, it was literally flour, water, and you keep the jar slightly open, the lid. And guess what? Suddenly yeasts are growing in the flour. So where did they come from? It's in the air.
It's in the air.
It's in the air. And that's why every starter is different, because every starter is, it's
depends on the environment.
It's on the environment, the yeast that are there, the people, the pets.
Did you? Okay, here's something.
Yeah.
Right, because humans, they just blow my mind. We're so amazing, right? Have you noticed that all your poo starts to smell the same?
Yes,
you've noticed, or even if I was participating of the care of my dad, for instance, who lived in a different home, my poo starts to smell like his. And then when I go back to my own house, after a few days, my poo starts to smell like my poo. I'm just saying, if you're changing nappies often,
I love you. Yeah.
It's so that's this microbiome. It's your environment, like your part. So if a baby's born in theatre, with all of these strangers, they're going to be colonized by their gut flora, etc. Like you say, we exhale it, and it's not quite suitable for them.
Yeah.
As if they're born in their own home, like you say, just like with the sourdough starter, they will also attract whatever's in the air, whatever's on their mother's nipple, etc.
Remember when you came in and I said, use the bathroom, we've only got one bathroom, be careful. And I was joking, and it's the truth that before a guest arrives, one of the big panic moments is like, oh my God, have I checked the bathroom? Because the age that my kids are, quite often they don't flush. And I'm like, my guest does not need this surprise.
Not today.
So, and it's in the last year I've stopped cleaning my little baby boy's bottom. He can do it himself. I still have to keep an eye on him though.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, I look and I go, wow, that's very similar to my poo or my wife's poo.
Yeah.
And it's too much information because we've only got one bathroom. Like my wife and I, we're in at the same time. One's showering, one's pooing, one's brushing their teeth, and it all smells the same.
That's why. I just feel that every organism on this planet is stunning, but when I just look at humans and who we are, it's like when women, bleeding women, are sharing a home. They all start to have their periods at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
How insane is that?
Organisms. Because I used to think, how can you have a red tent where all the women go and bleed at a certain time of the month? I used to think, because everyone bleeds at a different time. No, in our society, we all bleed at different times. But when you used to have women living together, cooking together, laundering together, breastfeeding each other's children and everything, they would just synchronize.
That's beautiful. So it's not even just family members, it's any woman, they just get into sync.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Well, look at you. You and your wife will not be closely related. Most of us aren't. But your poos now smell the same. And you and your wife, you'll start to look similar. It's fascinating.
People say that. Yes. And it's like this packy immigrant kid and my white wife with Jewish ancestors.
Yeah, I bet you look alike. See, it's just so beautiful. And I think because because you made the decision to have your children at home, there's so many benefits that are naturally conferred that you haven't even thought about.
No.
But it will make a difference to the whole health of the child. And like some people will say, oh, of course I gave birth in hospital. No, that's where you give birth. I said, well, up until maybe 60 or 70 years ago, but for the 13,000, 14,000, 100,000 years before that, everyone was born at home.
Or even 200,000 years before.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually do feel quite passionate about it. And I feel it's really quite sad that it's normalized that you just go to hospital to give birth. It was so beautiful having it at home, Kemi. I'll be honest with you, we had the most beautiful midwives and it was just so nice. We didn't have to pack bags.
Yeah.
We had a cup of tea afterwards. Our kids were upstairs sleeping and then came down and then everybody hugged and they were like, oh, look, baby. And it was just really good. And my wife just bounced back. I mean, she was driving the next day. Everything was just like, ta-da.
It's not the ideal. I'd rather she was having her grapes peeled while she breastfed.
You don't know what she's like. She is a very independent woman.
Yeah.
I love her. But, she's like...
For word, if you're planning to grow your family, let her have 5 minutes with me so I can explain. Because it makes a difference to the menopause even.
We're done, no. We're done. We're 3's enough.
Okay. All right. So now...
We've tapped out. We've tapped out.
You've tapped out?
We've tapped out. We dreamt of 5, and then we went down to 4, and then...
When you had the 3rd, you said, no, quit it.
I'm like, it's okay. Yeah, we're done.
It's okay. You've replaced yourselves +1. It's good.
Right? It's all right.
Yes, all right.
And, but yeah, let's talk about birth. Like, what's happening in the hospitals now? Is it not safe? Is it just medicalized?
They're fucking people's lives.
What? Sorry, what?
They're fucking people's lives in hospital.
You need to explain.
For the buck. Yeah.
For the buck?
Yeah. Maternity care. So the more of their toys that you allow them to play with, the more money they get.
What do you mean? What do you mean, toys?
So the way the system runs is a budget is assigned of public funds to the unit depending on what was used the previous year. So every time we open disposables, every time we get theatre equipment, every time a theatre is filled with people, every time a bed is used in the antenatal or postpartum, every time a bed is used on the delivery suite, labour ward, that all goes into the budget and then they apply for the funds. So say if every family made the sound choice that you made of having a home birth, yes, they will get paid for the fact that a baby was born with the midwives from their unit. They get paid for that. But what about all the money that can be made from the induction? What about all the money that can be made by the baby going to neonatal intensive care? You denied them that because you had healthy babies in your house. Whilst when you leave your house to give birth somewhere else, say if you choose the birth centre and say, I'm going to give birth at the birth centre. Well, are you? Because if you're a first-time birther, 9 times out of 10, you won't. So
my wife is lucky then. The first one was at the birthing unit.
Yeah, she's the 1 in 10.
Wow.
Right? So the other 9 will go to the labour ward and then it's ka-ching. Because once they get to labour ward using the CTG machine, hanging IV fluids, opening an episiotomy pack, all of those things they get paid for. That all goes into the budget. Yeah. So this is why my intention when I share so openly about this isn't to deprive maternity services of money. What it's to do is to enable families to have healthier pregnancies, healthier births, go on to manifest the other aspects of health in life ongoing, like you mentioned earlier, the microbiome, right? If you've got an impaired microbiome, you're more likely to be getting ear infections. You're more likely to have more hospital admissions. Can you see how it creates patients for life?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't want people looking after themselves, having healthy guts and healing themselves at home. You need to go into the hospital for them to be able to apply for the spend. And a lot of money gets wasted. And what they would charge for things is going to be way inflated. And the reason why that happens is because it's not their money, it's our money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's public funds. So
It's the
I
same
don't care.
in orthopedics. I realised that when I was head of the department, I got to go to all these management meetings, and I realised it was all about maintaining the budget and growing it. No one wanted their budget to get smaller. And I found that really weird because I thought, isn't it great that we save money? And it was like, no, we can't save money. And sometimes there'd be a panic near the end of the financial year.
Yeah.
We have some money that's been unspent. We need to find something to spend it on.
Yeah.
Because if we don't spend it, that means next year we'll have a smaller budget.
Exactly.
And I was like, well, surely that's a good thing. If we saved money, who cares if the budget's smaller? And it's like, no. You need to maintain the budget or grow the budget. You need to, prove. And it's just perverse way of thinking. And the reason is, like you just said, it's not their money, it's our money.
Mm.
And it's like, okay, fine, spend. And then the thing is, it also gets a little bit corrupt. I've spoken to insiders like Bob Gill and other people and contractors off the record. And they've said, basically, they've got all these like Freemason contacts. And they go like, right, we've got like £2 million that we need to spend. Right, who's a little friend down the corner? Oh, can you just build a power unit and dump it on the hospital ground somewhere? And even though they don't need it, they'll just put this transformer, whatever, there because they need to make up the shortfall of the budget so they can claim it for next year. Their Freemason friend has got a contract, got £2 million. It's all funny things going on.
It's all funny things going on. And so in orthopedics, you might be able to justify it saying, oh, well, we're making people's lives better. We're healing them. But in maternity care, in actual fact, if we didn't get involved in, or didn't sabotage, I'll just use the word I usually use. If we didn't sabotage women in maternity care, they literally could have their babies fall out at home.
Hi, me again. You're listening to the Doc Malik podcast. This show is 100% independent and fully funded by listeners like yourself. So if you wish to support Ahmed in all that he is doing, then please subscribe to his channel on Spotify or on his Substack, or simply buy him a coffee with one of the donation links which can be found at docmalik.com. Now, let's get back to the show.
So a lot of people will say to you, but one, we don't have the skill and expertise now. If overnight everybody said, right, we want to have home births, there isn't the skill and expertise to do that. It wouldn't be safe.
What is the skill? I eat cake, I drink a cup of tea. Occasionally, I might resolve a shoulder dystocia, very rarely. So, my stats for people having shoulder dystocia where the shoulders don't quite fully rotate, it's like a key in a lock. So my stats about 0.5% because I wouldn't have a woman, in positions which restrict the pelvic volume to prevent the baby's shoulders from rotating. So it's almost like the way I work is preventative, but it looks like somebody sat down with a cup of tea and a piece of cake.
Wow.
Yeah. So the skill isn't in all the doing. It's how you hold the space. It's how the woman is enabled during her pregnancy, knowing she can do it. It's me saying things like, oh, labour started. Why don't you go to bed? Why don't you get your vibrator? Why don't you cuddle your man? So all these low key things, not, oh, go charging around your local park to get labour going. You don't need to get labour going. It's an immune response. Your body wants to get rid of the foreign body, which is your baby. And your baby makes itself impalatable. It's autonomic. So it releases a protein that your body goes, oh, that's too much.
Really? I didn't know it released a protein.
Yeah, it released a protein in its own circulation, crosses through the placenta, to the maternal circulation, all the organs coming off of it say, oh, what's that? That's got to go. And then your breasts prepare. So it's beautiful. Your cervix prepares, your uterus prepares, oxytocin receptors proliferate, your brain does the releasing, the pituitary gland, it all click, 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 click. It's beautiful. There's somebody, Dr. Sarah Buckley, she's had 4 home births. She's on, I think she's from New Zealand, but she lives in Australia, or it could be the other way around.
Okay.
But she talks about how the endocrinology of pregnancy and birth, how beautiful it is, how it all clicks together. And so I know it, so I facilitate it. So if I've stressed the woman out saying, oh, you've been pregnant 5 minutes longer than you're supposed to be, we're raising adrenaline for her. Actually, adrenaline does play a small role, but what she really needs is oxytocin. When the oxytocin's being released, what she really needs is the release of endorphins. We know that these things are released in dim light, so we can't have like your studio lights. It's going to need to be candles or no light.
Yeah, but that's what our house was like. It was very dark.
It's beautiful.
It was dim, it was dark, it was cozy.
Yeah.
We had the fire on, we had the red heat, golden
You
flame.
see what I mean? Like that, like you say, the gold and the red, all those colours,
Yeah.
they promote the release of oxytocin, which is what she needs for her uterus to contract to get the baby out.
Can I say something? I have to be careful because I'm not a woman. So I feel like some people will be like, how dare you? You're not qualified to talk about this. But everything you've just talked about, the oxytocin, the love hormone, the relaxation, I think the reason why a lot of women get into a bit of a pickle is because they're too stressed out.
Yeah.
And the reason why they're stressed out is the system is telling them to be stressed out.
There you go.
TV programs are stressing them out.
There you go.
Every single time you see a pregnant woman on TV, it's like panic, stress, your legs up in stirrups and screaming, and it's just horrific. I mean, so you're programmed to just think that.
So, brother.
Yeah.
Do you think that's accidental?
No. No.
So our dependence on being saved by the medicalised maternity system has been fostered. It's been groomed into us.
Yeah.
And it's not just maternity care that are participating in this. You've got paediatrics. If all the babies came out at home in great health, then what's the role for the neonatal intensive care unit?
Yeah.
How do they get their money? It's beds being taken by sick babies.
But then they'll say, "Oh, we don't want that. We don't want to spend money on all this. We want to save money. We don't want the beds. We don't want the neonatal." But
They're lying.
we need them. Okay. Right. I'm going to come back to that in a second. But let's go back to the stress business. So I just feel like it's so important to keep the stress under control. But the thing is, if you're in your own home, whoever it is, you know how comfortable it is. The moment you walk through your threshold, put your bag down, take off your jacket, put your keys somewhere, and just kick off your shoes and you relax, sigh. Like the big bad world out there, you can finally, you're in your castle and you can just chillax. You know that. Your home is your castle. If I come to your home, I won't feel that.
No.
Because it's not my home.
No.
When you come to my home, you'll be like, oh, the beautiful cottage, but it's not your home.
No. So I wouldn't easily take a shit in your house. Yeah.
So basically, but if you're at home,
yeah.
Can you imagine how relaxing that is?
Yeah, it is.
It's your safe space. Contrast that to a hospital, bright fluorescent LED lights, clinical gowns, odd smells, beeping noises, people constantly coming and measuring you and applying things on you and inserting fingers inside you and probing you. And that's a form of rape.
Well, people hate me using the term. It's obstetric rape. I use it often.
Do you?
In my messaging.
So I'm not wrong to say like.
No, it's rape. Yeah.
Because I never get that. Like again, it's always a TV program And he goes, oh, I just need to examine you and I need to check and I need to.
So your hands
And you're
inside, I use the term fisting. I need people to understand what's happening to them. Yes, it's fisting. There's a whole hand up near your cervix of somebody that you may have only just met. Somebody who might have a mask on, you only can see their eyes.
Someone's going to say, but isn't that necessary? That's needed. That's because they're doing their job.
No. As I said, my skill, I have clever hands. Yeah, but my intention is to not use them. So what do I engage them in instead? Knitting, drinking, tea. Afterwards, instead of fussing with the woman, drinking a Prosecco. I have to say that most people's belief that the woman requires to be fisted by a stranger in order to have a healthy birth. That's what's been groomed into us.
Yeah.
Babies come out. They come out. How do you know? Because you can see the head there.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need to be fidgeting, measuring, assessing, noting on a graph.
Yeah, what the fuck is that all about?
It's all about control, giving the illusion of being needed. It's not accidental. It's groomed us.
I get it. Oh, yeah. The cervix is dilated 2 centimeters.
And
what does that mean? It's now 6 centimeters. And?
It's meaningless. The baby's not coming out until she's fully dilated.
And the baby's going to come out, it's going to come out?
Exactly. What's the rush? She's been pregnant for 10 months. What's the rush?
Okay, but then some people might be like, well, we need to monitor it because if there's a problem, then we can identify it early.
No, you can smell a problem. You can see a problem. In actual fact, women will say to me, I feel a bit stuck. And then because I'm trained in birthing biomechanics, I'll say, okay, let's do some side-lying release. Okay, let's do forward-leaning inversion, give the baby an opportunity to back up and then represent with its chin tucked in.
Oh, wow.
The baby might be basically born, head born, and she'll go, oh, I feel really stuck. Okay, why don't you get into the running start position, creates asymmetry in the pelvic volume, the baby's got a chance to rotate its shoulders. There is so much that can be done.
Wow.
Just by suggestion and actually not setting up a problem. So setting up a problem is, it was measured the other day, 90% of women are in a semi-supine position, they call it, which is on your back.
Yeah.
Right. And now they don't freely admit that it's more than 40%, but we all know 50% of those are because the woman's having cesarean, right? But the other 40%, these women could be on their hands and knees or in a pool or whatever, but they're not. They'll be giving birth on their back because the midwives who aren't really midwives, they're more obstetric nurses, are groomed into only feeling comfortable if the woman's on her back with her legs in stirrups.
Yeah.
Right? It's called lithotomy position.
Yeah.
Now, we know in lithotomy, you're closing the pelvic volume down by 1/3. My colleagues working in established maternity systems should know that. It's not a secret. And yet they're getting 90% of women into that position. Is it not to sabotage?
Maybe it's just ignorance.
Sabotage. If you call it ignorance, then seriously, why are we opening our knees in front of these people if they still don't know this?
No, I agree. No, I'll give an example. A lot of good people just don't know. So I had this beautiful doctor who has talked about how her name is Cynthia Mackay, and she's like a professor in eye surgery, and she talks about how LASIK eye surgery is quite dangerous. And she talks about how there's no informed consent, money drove it, the FDA was corrupt and is enabling it, how any doctor that speaks out gets ridiculed, cancelled, censored.
Interesting.
Right? And then I said to her in the podcast, it's very similar to COVID vaccines, experimental in nature, financial interest, informed consent, coercion, gaslighting of complications. And doctors would speak out, and she was very quiet. She didn't say anything. And I thought, right, she doesn't get the COVID vaccine. She's a good egg, though. She's a good egg. She emails me later and goes, where did you find all the stuff about mRNA vaccines and stuff like that? And I said, listen, I've spoken to so many scientists, doctors, experts who've been cancelled and censored. It's all on my website. It's all on my podcast, everything. And her response was, I'm reading it all now. You're amazing. So what I'm trying to say is, she's a good egg. She fell for the vaccines. She didn't know any better. She was ignorant. But now she's like, oh, what's this all about? So what I'm saying, there might be midwives who've been brought through the system, trained, don't know any better. And it's not that they're sabotaging. They are literally just ignorant. And we need to kind of feel sorry for them and welcome them and say, look, there's a better way, rather than think they're all in on it and they're all trying to sabotage. Because ignorance is huge.
Childbirth hasn't changed. Us getting our heads around the COVID, you see, the scamdemic, that's something new, bringing in mRNA into a vaccine. That's something new to get your head around. Babies coming out of vaginas hasn't changed.
True. They haven't come out with mobile phones yet or anything. No.
No.
Can I tell you, I really feel bad about this. I don't remember the midwife's name, the last one. I've forgotten. I'm sure my wife will remember. She was beautiful. The whole time, she was just her. There's no student midwife with her this time. There's no assistant. It was just her, on her own. Late at night. She's so chilled out, so relaxed. She looked very similar to you, but she had short hair. Just beautiful. And she was just so relaxed. But I was like, something's not right. My wife was like, pretty pale. She's pale already, but she was pretty pale. She was tired. I was like, baby, wake up. Keep going. Push. And then the midwife was just tinkering at the bottom a little bit. And next thing, the baby's crying. And out. And everything's wonderful.
Good.
And Kat, my wife, turned around to me and goes, I still want a fourth.
At that moment.
And I was like, yeah, great. Let's talk about it later.
You see, that's very different from get away from me, don't touch me, I'm traumatized, no sex for a year, a woman that cries every birthday, a woman that doesn't like her vulva or her perineum because it's got dirty great cuts in it, or she associates
her first birth. She had a tear, and that was at the birthing unit. And we had to go and come back and go and come back, and you're not dilated enough and blah, blah, blah. And the second and third birth at home, there's no tear, there's no nothing. But I thought maybe that's because it's the first birth and that's why it tore. But it's not. It's about the stress and the way it's been done.
Yeah. Even like, say, if you go into a unit and you use something called synthetic oxytocin, that they've measured that. They've done some research and seen that there's more tension in the perineum if that drug is being used.
Right.
So that increases the chance of tearing. Being on your back increases the chance of tearing. Legs lifted into lithotomy increases the chance and the severity of tears. Cutting an episiotomy extends into a bigger tear. Placing forceps increases the chance of tearing. So everything that they're doing, that people expect that is being normalized in maternity care causes increased wounding to the woman. If she has a tear that needs suturing, that's another thing that bumps up the budget.
That was my
Yeah. And then she'll have, PR Voltrol, like she'll have, something up her bum for pain. That increases the budget. For us, it might cost $5. They'll get charged 30 quid for each one. Do you see? It's all this money spinning.
Wow.
Well, it's just none of it is necessary.
Anyway, back to that midwife. So I've gone to make a cup of tea for everybody, right? And the midwife goes, that was a bit difficult at the end. Basically, your little boy came out with his arm in the Superman position.
Yeah.
So it was a compound
presentation.
Yeah. And I was like, I thought there was something not quite right, but you're very cool about it. She was no point stressing Mama out. She was doing a great job.
She's good.
And I was like, I hugged her so bad. I was like, you're awesome. Yeah. You're so cool. You exuded confidence. Yeah. And I was like, everything's going to be all right. And she goes, because everything was going to be all right.
Yeah.
Do you see how, but it was really like great
egg,
having that kind of person.
Exactly. Was if you'd had somebody who didn't have the same confidence, skill and ethos
and experience,
then your wife probably would have had some scissors at her perineum, lose more blood, then require suturing, then we're a bit worried about her blood loss. Shall we go in? See, it's that cascade of interventions that we need to avoid. And the person with you in the home is important as well. So say if you didn't have that caliber of midwife, but you had someone that's a bit more panicky, that's going to mean that there'll be more money attracted to the maternity unit. That's why it's not why, but there's many women that are choosing, if they can't have a competent, wonderful midwife like you had, they'd rather free birth because the outcomes will be better the vast majority of times. Yeah, because babies are born from women's vaginas from the beginning of time.
Yeah, we're here for a reason.
It is not a new thing.
Otherwise, we would have gone extinct.
Yes, and there's a lot of us.
But then they say, oh, but things can go wrong and the infant mortality is higher and maternal mortality is higher. And it used to be historically so high. And now because of modern medicine, it's low. Can you tell us about that? Because that's what they say. Like, you can home birth. And yes, we're here. But you know what? I don't know what the numbers are. But like say 10% of people died or like they're, that was terrible. We can't have that. And now it's so much safer. What would you say to that?
So antibiotics plays a lovely role in maintaining health for mothers and babies. So I give a nod to necessary antibiotics, not prophylaxis. Prophylaxis is causing a lot of problems, just in case antibiotics is causing a lot of problems. But what more lends to birth success is how many people are living in the home. Are the toilets indoor or outdoor? What's your plumbing like? What's your general level of nutrition like? And what they failed to share is that when they started keeping records and infant mortality was, higher, they weren't just talking about the babies up to 28 days old, which is the figures we're looking at perinatal mortality. They were looking at babies up until a year. So when they quote the higher figure, they're talking about the babies that then, dying of cholera or
Victorian
any of those
slum
other things. Exactly.
Okay, so then what about actual death at birth? Like complications, serious complications at birth, at labor. Has that gone down? Was that high when it was historically, or is it all just been fudged?
That's the problem we've got at the moment is serious complications, like really serious ones that have randomly happened at birth, are very, very rare. So for a woman that's choosing a spontaneous physiological birth in a community setting or at home, you'll probably find that their chance of their baby not living beyond 28 days is probably 2 in 1,000. It's tiny. Whilst in the unit, you might find it's 5 in 1,000. Now, up until 5 years ago, that was unacceptable. But now there was a maternity unit once that reported 12 in 1,000 deaths, or perinatal death.
So perinatal deaths higher in units?
Yeah, they're in units. So when you're looking at perinatal death, you're not just looking at the death in pregnancy or during the labour and birth, which is very small. You're also looking at the deaths in neonatal intensive care. So when you add all of that together, that's up to 28 days. So we have a problem at the moment. Yeah, when you compare it with other countries, etc., it's not glaring, but we do have a problem where we're not seeing less stillbirth and neonatal death. Yeah, so it it was kind of plateauing, but now it's starting to edge up again. When I looked at the Office of National Statistics the other day for 2023. So we've got an issue where lots more is happening to mothers and babies without saving lives. So everyone's staring at perinatal death, but no one's looking at brain damage, hypoxic injury, HIE. So no one's looking at that. Why? Because the baby's alive. But there's a lot.
Do you know? I had a guest, Bob Moran.
Yes.
His child. They've just won the court case.
And
got some compensation.
How old's their child?
Quite old.
Yeah, because it takes around 10 to 12 years.
It's taken that long.
Yeah.
My heart went out to him. He was telling me the story. He said it on the podcast. That's why I'm sharing it with you.
Yeah.
But it was desperately sad.
Yeah. And these are the untold stories. So we have to accept we're all obsessing about death because as a society, we're not very grown up about the fact that we all die.
We're going to come back to that in a second.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that.
Yeah, we need to talk about it because no one's growing up about that. No one's growing up about the fact that some people die before they're born.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people die during birth.
Yeah.
Some people die shortly after birth.
Yeah.
Everyone's thinking that's the worst thing, but there will be parents out there looking after babies that were damaged at birth or shortly after who are saying, yeah, but watching my child suffer every day of their life is also killing me. So I just feel like we need to have grown-up conversations about the fact that you going into a hospital for the perception of safety, but coming out with a broken baby is not a good outcome.
No. And having spoken to people like Nikita Stark and other people, it's also the trauma that women go through.
Mm.
They feel traumatized.
Yeah.
I've got a friend, I don't want to name her name, but she talks about like it's proper trauma.
Yeah.
She felt violated and traumatized. The whole birthing experience was a painful one for her, and she doesn't look back and go, oh yeah, that was lovely.
No.
And she has to carry that for the rest of her life.
Absolutely.
And that's not nice.
Well, it's harmful for her family, her descendants, her community,
Her partner,
her relationships, her career.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but we're all like sleepwalking in to this place for the perception of safety, thinking they're going to save me. I'm going to have a live baby just for you all need to know that going into hospital does not reduce the chance of you losing your child by 28 days. And it does increase the chance of your baby having hypoxic injury, brain damage, not being able to swallow, never leaving home, never having a partner, not being able to go to school, not being able to sleep more than 2 hours, stretches. There's lots to be said for this apparent saving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I spoke to this obstetrician once and he was like, it's all these high risk patients, like obese ones, they'll have their cesarean sections. And then when they operate on them, they go, there's so much fat they have to get food to before they get to the baby. Sometimes they even nick the baby, like nick the baby in the cheek and this. And I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, I just feel like the whole system is just messed up. People are too overweight, too obese. Women like should really.
But remember, we used to believe, why is a woman obese? So it's because she eats too much. It's because there's a balance that's off between movement and what she eats. But what about all of us that were denied by the medical profession breastfeeding?
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't taste a bit of breast milk, and
me too.
And I've had to manage my health around that my entire life.
You think so? That's linked to managing obesity.
Yeah. We know that people that haven't been breastfed are more likely to be obese and diabetic.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So this is why,
and because my parents were brainwashed into thinking You know, they just
But
keep.
who, but
They
who did
were
the brainwashing? It was the medical profession.
boss.
They bound my mother's breasts, said it was dangerous for her to give me a drop of colostrum. And then that sets us up for our own health outcomes. So, you know, the obstetrician that loves to gaslight women say it's because they're too fat and old. Yeah, what we know when we look at the research around birth outcomes for people that are above 35 or 40, women that are above a certain BMI, is that you've got the prejudice of the people caring for them.
Yeah.
That goes into the outcome. So for me, I don't care. I've looked after a 54-year-old giving birth to her first child. I've looked after women with BMI of 45. But I'm just waiting for spontaneous labour. I've got my cup of tea. I know I'm skilled at listening to the baby. If she wants me to listen, I know how to do it with adipose tissue. I know how to lift her belly. I know where I'm listening. And then the baby falls out. Right? So for me, in my figures, I don't have poorer outcomes for people that are above a certain age or above a certain BMI. But if you go into the obstetric system where they're prejudiced against them, where they do more monitoring or continuous monitoring or insist they have an epidural or insist they can't be in a pool because too fat, then they're having poorer outcomes. And so it's because she was fat.
You need to be Professor Kemi lecturing all the midwives.
I do.
Sounds like it rings Professor Kemi.
Does it?
Yeah. So I'm being serious. Lecture all these midwives.
I swear too much.
That's all right. Apparently I swear too much too. Have I been good in this podcast?
Oh, we both have. I know I've dropped a few F-bombs, but no, you've been excellent.
All right, okay. Yeah, I mean, we need to turn things around. I just feel like it's just a nice place to start. You know, when you enter the world, birth is traumatic as it is for the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can just make it a beautiful experience, how nice would that be?
Just gentler.
The other day, my little boy was like, Daddy, I'm a living room baby. And, his sister, he goes, she's a dining room baby. And it was just the way it just came out. It was just like, isn't that nice?
Yeah.
He's got a connection.
Yeah.
He knows where he came from. He knows where he was born in this world. He sees it, goes, yeah, this is where I entered.
I can't imagine how that must
because
him.
I was born in some goddamn hospital.
Yeah, I know the hospital where I was born.
I know the hospital I was born, but I don't know the ward. It doesn't feel, there's no attachment.
No,
there's no love. There's no rooting. There's nothing. And it's like, how nice would it be to know this is where I was born?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that used to be the case for, apart from nomadic societies, that was the case for everyone.
But you not think also in historically, up until relatively recently, you would have this beautiful wisdom and knowledge, this maternal love. You would have the grandmother, the mother, the aunts, the neighbors, all the women there supporting the women going through pregnancy. Now, I'm not saying that the women who's going through pregnancy would have like a million people around her, but she had access to, could tap into. And I'm sure in communities that would have been, there would have been like 3-4 women around.
Oh, always.
And the knowledge.
But again.
And the bonding.
So they were called godsibs, the people that would be milling around a birth, making sure everyone was comfortable. Godsibs. And then that was changed to gossips, and then that was tarnished, the idea of a gossip, so that it would break those bonds between women that would support them through these life transitions.
Shut up.
Yeah. So this is why occasionally I've said to you, do you think that was accidental? No, it isn't. We've all been groomed and isolated. So, one of the worst things a woman feels like she can go through is in the postpartum not having her village. But that's part of industrialization, making us into these little nuclear, isolated families.
Totally.
And then hanging everything
compartmentalized.
Yeah. The whole, like we said earlier, communication. it's so important that we get a lot of time to sit and talk. Women talking is one of the most powerful things that are affecting change. It's like you said a bit earlier, you said, oh, you know, how is this? Where are we going with this, basically? I honestly feel like the COVIDiacy years woke up a profound amount of people. I think it backfired. I don't think that was the intention. And so many people, and so many people looked at that jab and said, oh, well, if this one is the best tested, what does that mean for the childhood jabs? So we're having a really big conversation.
Yeah.
And even, you know, like, for instance, there's a book called Pushed by Jennifer Block. Pushed. And she talks about there being some kind of natural disaster. I think it was a hurricane or something in a state in the US. And all the hospitals needed to be kept for people that were injured, right? So they said to the pregnant women, they said, only come in literally if the baby's hanging out of your body. Yeah, we don't need you to be hanging around the hospital. We're being used for other things. And in that time, the midwives noticed that the majority of births were just babies just coming out, the woman would waddle in, babies fall out, go home. Yeah. And the midwives were so impressed with that. They said, oh my God, like we stopped inductions, we stopped having women loitering around the place or, you know, augmenting labour, and birth was spectacular. But the managers needed to go back to all the unnecessary inductions and antenatal admissions, etc., to keep their money up. Yeah. So she talks about this in this book called Pushed. I really feel like we had an opportunity in 2020 to say to the women, you know what, you're not ill. You're just pregnant. It's happened for many thousands of years. Just stay at home, or, you know, we'll come out to you last minute, or just come in last minute. But they didn't. They cancelled the home births. They cancelled birth centre births and are encouraging everyone onto the labour ward. And since then, our birth outcomes are just getting worse and worse. Our caesarean rate before 2020 probably is around 25, 26%. It's now 50%.
Wow.
So we, you know, it was almost like a compliance check. And when they saw that we just all sleepwalk into the hospital, the very place where they said it's completely infested with COVID, they were saying, but come in, have your baby. No, you don't have an option to have your baby at home. I think what it shows basically is we failed. I say failed. They'll say passed the compliance check. So now everything now that they've taken the cap off for caesarean rates. They used to try and keep them low before. They've taken the cap off. Induction, you'd be induced because you're black. The induction, the list of things to be induced for is just out the door.
Why did you get induced if you're black?
Because they noticed that there were poorer outcomes for black women and black babies. So because the magic wand is, oh, let's just kick your baby out early then. Stop you being pregnant as long. So they tried to mute that as a way forward. Thankfully, a few of us threw our absolute toys out the pram. We had hissy fits and said, you can't put that in the induction of labour, new guidance. And so now they've kind of gone around it the other way and said, yeah, but okay, so we're not saying you must induce someone because they're black, but you need to tell them that they've got poorer outcomes because they're black. It's a lie. Yeah. The poorer outcomes are because of systemic racism. So that's why brown women also have an elevation in poorer outcomes. It's because we're not white.
So how does that work? Like how does the racism affect?
So what it does is it means, with black women...
Because most of this nursing staff are brown or black.
I know, but they're groomed. And they have to survive. And a black midwife is much more likely to be disciplined than a white one. So
same with brown doctors. Same with brown doctors.
Yes, it is. I remember reading those articles.
More chance of being referred to the GMC.
Yeah. So we have to toe the line to keep our jobs, feed our families, etc. When I say we, I unchose that, and have had a very lovely career as a midwife. But for most people working in the system, they have to toe the line.
When did you leave the system?
So I actually left in stages. So I used to be an NHS midwife, and then I went independent about 15 years ago, and then I left. I deregistered 5 years ago.
Sister, you're kind of like me. So I left the NHS in 2017. I went just private, independent, no manager from telling me what to do. And then when the whole COVID kicked off and a couple of hospitals kicked me out, I went, just here's your papers. Deregistered myself and delicensed. I'm the only doctor I know out of 300,000 that's done that. Every doctor who gets punished and suspended fights to get their license back.
Yeah,
I just thought, bye.
Don't need you.
Don't need you.
Really don't.
Hasta la vista. And like, and it's funny, like I thought my medical days were over, but not really. So I was meant to launch a consultation service a couple of months ago, but I've had a disc prolapse in my neck that I've been recovering from. I'm much better now. And the service I'm offering is the health guide and health advocate. So it's like, and I'm doing it like every week. I've got 1 or 2 consultations that I'm doing now, even though I haven't officially launched. But if you're a patient and you've seen a doctor, 7-minute consultation, you come out, here's a diagnosis, here's a pill, and you've got 100 unanswered questions, and you want some bloody answers, come to me.
Really
or
good.
say you've got a problem and you don't have a clue who to see. You don't know who to see. You don't know what questions to ask. Come to me. I can tell you.
Yeah.
And if you've been told you need surgery, but you don't know how to get informed consent, you don't know what questions to ask, you don't know how to interpret your test, come to me. So I'm not diagnosing, I'm not treating, I'm not your doctor, I'm deregistered, unlicensed. But if you want someone who's going to educate you, empower you, and inform you, come to me.
And anyone with any sense would trust you first, because you've got nothing to gain from sending them in a certain direction.
Absolutely. I've got nothing to gain from an operation. I'm not making money out of an operation or a scan or a test or like all my colleagues are.
Exactly. So that's why anyone who's really thinking this through would know it's better to speak to you first before trying to access the system for anything. And I'm in a similar role because I really understand
You've been there.
The anatomy and physiology of childbirth, and then I've experienced it, then I've seen how it works and when it doesn't work. I'm an excellent person to go to say, okay, so they've said that I'm gestationally diabetic. And then I can just really dig down into that. Okay, so what does that actually mean? Are you diet controlled? Do you move? Are you stressed? I can look at it from a wider point of view. So rather than the woman just, inching through the system and getting fucked up at the end, because that's what will happen. They'll say, oh, you need an induction because it says here, they're looking at this silly little algorithm. They're not thinking, right? So, and then she'll do that and then she'll end up with a cascade. I can help her not do that. I can save her time. I can break down what the condition is. What is preeclampsia? Okay, but what do you eat? There is so much to be said for having that person. So we're working similarly, who will actually understand the symptoms, understand potentially condition, give various options for mitigating it, and help that person avoid additional expense, suffering, harm, knock-ons.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I haven't met many people who've handed back registrations. Most people cling on to it.
Yeah.
But I think you and I both came to the realization the system was so broken. And actually, we just don't want to be a part of it anymore.
I felt sick.
I felt sick too.
It's so funny. We are definitely twins. I gave up. I pressed the button to deregister in tears because you worked so hard for it. And, people that love me were frightened for me. Said, are you sure you're not making a mistake?
I cried.
Yeah.
It was a morning. I was like, it was a death.
It was a death.
And, but I had to mourn. I had to let it out of my system. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because even now, like I do, every Friday I do a question, ask me a question. I've been doing it for years, even as a foot and ankle surgeon. And recently on Substack, I've started every Wednesday, ask me a question, I'll try and answer. And every week someone will say, oh, do you miss your old life? Or if you could would you go back? Or if they would let you go back, would you like to operate? And don't get me wrong, I loved operating and I did a lot of good work and I really helped put people's smashed ankles back together again and they're back horse riding and walking. And it's funny, someone reached out to me to help with my neck and has been doing great myofascial work. Shout out to Sarah Jane Golding. Love her. And when a mutual friend of mine said, oh, yeah, Sarah Jane wants to help you, I was like, oh, right, is she a fan of the podcast? And she goes, yeah, she likes podcasts, but that's not the reason. I was like, really? She goes, no. 6 years ago, you operated on her father and you stopped him having an amputation. Oh. You fixed his leg. You smashed up tibia.
Big.
And and she loves him. He's walking pain-free. He's walking with his dogs. And she feels like she owes you. She wants to help you. So I missed that element. Like I did great work. And like when I did a work placement as a medical student, I worked with a professor for a week. And after the first operation that he got me to scrub in and I was watching, he was like, what do you think of this operation? And I was like, oh, there's a lot of blood. It's very messy. And the sister slapped me on the wrist. And the professor looked at me and went, son, this scalpel is a paintbrush. The blood is the paint. This operating field is the canvas. This operation is a masterpiece. And I am Michelangelo. Right? And at the time I was like, what is this guy talking about?
You've got to see it.
Everybody was laughing and clapping. And at the time I was like, what the I get that. Surgery for me was such a beautiful, creative thing. And I did magic. And even though I missed that, I wouldn't go back.
No.
Kemi, I wouldn't go back. I love what I'm doing now. I love what I've created. It's all right. I've moved on.
I was going to say, and I can really hear that. I can hear the passion that you had for your gift. But it doesn't mean that we need to stay doing that day in, year out.
Yep.
And I miss the birth room. I had my body literally broke down after my last birth that I attended. And because I know that I'm so beneficial. And when mothers ask me all the time, say, are you still attending birth? And I can hear that worry in their voice. So what I decided I would do, which is what I'm doing, is mentoring other midwives towards that level of skill in a home birth setting. I know that even though your hands are not performing surgery, that your heart, your being, what you're giving means even more. It's a sacrifice for you to not be there in that role. But what you're giving is so much more, honestly.
Yeah. Thank you, sister. Another thing as well is like, I want to show people that we can all be so much more than what the system dictates to us. Like, I'm not just a title. I'm not a surgeon or a orthopedic surgeon. I'm so much more than that. I am creative. I'm technical. I'm a podcaster. I'm a writer. I'm a healer. I'm a health advocate. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a son. I'm a friend. I got lots of hats on. You take one hat away from me, it's fine. I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket and saying, this is me and oh my God. I know so many surgeons like that who like hold on to, like, it is their identity. And you know what? They retire. 2 years later, they're dead. Had a heart attack. It's like, life's more than that.
It's way more. And that kind of brings us round just before we stop talking for now.
Death?
I see death as a doorway. I don't see it as the end.
Yes.
So even when I deregistered, that was the death of my registration, but it opened to a doorway to an even better life.
Love it.
So, yeah, this is one thing I want us all to get with. It's not an ending. It's an ending of a type, but it's opening the door to another way of living.
100%. And people who've heard my podcast will know I talk about this. I get my kids on sometimes, and we even talk about it. We talk about how we're going to plan my funeral. We talk about how it's going to be a party. So listen, yeah, seriously.
We are twins. No one's allowed to wear black.
Yes.
We are twins. I used to be a DJ a long, long time ago.
Right.
So I insist that the decks are set up and everyone comes and does a stint. I'm not saying don't cry. Crying's an emotion.
Yeah.
But we don't stay there. I want you to have your rum. I want you to drink your gin, your beer, have a good shimmy in the brightest colours possible.
Amen. Amen, sister. That's exactly what I said. I said, I want everyone dressed in their party clothes. I want it to be a celebration.
Yeah.
I want people taking the piss and laughing and joking.
Yeah.
I want you to cry when you want to cry, but I want you to dance. I want the food trucks. I want the barbecues.
Tell me about
I
it.
want the meat and the food.
Oh,
I want it
yes.
to be great. I
Oh,
want
yes.
people to come and go, what a great funeral. And
Yeah.
I want it to be so great. Actually, before I die, I should have a pre-death funeral
We
party
should
too.
have a pre-death funeral party.
So
I saw someone doing that the other day on Instagram.
Really?
Yeah, great idea.
I mean that. I'm
Right
seriously.
idea.
I want a pre-death funeral party, and then have another one
Yeah.
looking afterwards,
That's right.
and celebrate my life and the fact I've moved on. The spiritual, eternal being has moved on to bigger and better things, and I'm still going to exist. I'm still going to be here. And you know, we talk about the divine and everything. I'm not into this new age, right? But I don't know what God
Another
is.
cult.
And it's another cult. I just want to avoid any cult. Anytime I sniff or get the scent of a cult, I just go the other direction. But I just feel like the divine, the creation, whatever it is, it's actually within us all. We are all part of it. Like, so imagine a massive supercomputer that's been running on its own, and it can create all the happiness in the world, all the bliss in the world. It's got everything. After a while, it goes, all right, okay, this is great. I've done this for a bit. Let's spice it up a little bit. Why don't I divvy myself up into tiny, tiny little fragments and let those little tiny little fragments think that they're not me anymore?
Yeah, that's right.
And they're going to do some dumb shit.
Yeah.
They might do some great shit. But you know what? This is going to be the fun of experiencing what happens. I'm going to give all these little autonomous units that are actually part of me free will and choice. Let's see what happens now.
Yeah.
So you, sister, are me.
Yeah.
I am you.
Yes.
We are all connected.
Yes, we are.
And when we realize that, which is the complete opposite to divide and rule, you can't have anything but complete love for the other person because you are me. Do you know what I mean? That's what it's all about. We're all the same.
You've spoken for me.
Oh, that's nice.
Not a thing to add.
Okay. Great. Do you fancy staying for an omelette?
Depends what time it is.
So I'm really hungry. That's why it's 11:30. I'm going to have an omelette.
Have an omelette. I'm going to get on the road because I've got an afternoon of work, which I'm really excited about.
This is my work.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's so good. It's so good.
How good
I'm
is this?
just having, I've had fun here.
I'm so glad to hear
my
that.
Afternoon.
Well, guess what? You know, when we were off air, I was talking about how to do the podcast, audio, and this and that. Remember? I said there's some that I've just literally, not publishing. Guess what? You get invited back. You'd come back.
I'm coming back. I'm coming back, and then I'll be staying for the omelette.
Oh, well, there'll be something else. We'll put something else. If I'm prepared, I'll get the barbecue going. It'll be very good.
No, I'll come. I'll come for as long as you'll have me.
Right, but there's a final question. You're on your deathbed, going to meet your creator. You got all your loved ones around you. You got your grandchildren, your baby boy, and all that kind of stuff. Before you pass on and meet the maker, what final words of wisdom and advice and love are you going to give to your kids and grandchildren?
Don't take yourself so seriously.
Great.
Just have fun. Have a laugh.
Have a laugh. I love it. All right, sister. Thank you so much. You're awesome.
Thank you.
I, Ahmed Malik, am a private civilian protected by the Geneva Convention. My Substack, social media posts, and podcasts are my personal experiences, observations, and opinions. This information is for educational purposes only. Although I am a doctor, I am not your doctor, and I am not providing medical or legal advice to you or to the wider public. I am not licensed or registered with the GMC or any other licensing board. The responsibility for the interpretation, due diligence, and use of the information from my Substack and my podcast lies with you, the viewer and/or listener. Please do your research and use your discernment. It is not my intention to harass, intimidate, offend, defame, conspire, blackmail, coerce, or cause anxiety, alarm, or distress to any man or woman, and the information presented here is done so with peaceful and honourable intentions. Enjoy, folks.